Gananam tva Ganapatim Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Hirunvannotibhisi dasadanam. Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namah. Om Vrishabham Charshaninam Vishwarupamadabhyam Brahaspatim Varenyam. Om Tadvishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Sorayah Divi Vachakshuratatam. Om Shlim Dhrim Jyotirbrahmaya Namah. Can everyone say Hare Ram Krishna 3 times? Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. We will also say 3 times Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Okay, we are in chapter 29 of BPHS. We did not have a few classes and yes.
Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Why did we add Pam?
Usually in lot of tantric texts, you basically add the first letter of the name basically. For example, if you are doing Chandi Home, Om Jam Jayaya Namah, Om Vijayaya Namah, Om Jam Jayantiyaya Namah, like that basically. The first letter is used as the seed, the bija for the name. Like Om Gam Ganapataye Namah. Usually the first letter added with an anaska is typically the seed in which the name will basically, from which the name will come from. You can also say Om Parasharaya Namah, that is also fine. But I am used to Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. That's all. So, page 301 in Santanam's BPHS, chapter 29. So, we are giving the results of planets in various houses from Arudha. And now we are in the 7th house. Verse 24. Arudha saptame ketu papa kheta yute ekshitah sahasi svetakeshi cha vruddhalingi bhaven narah. Arudha saptame ketu. Yeah, this is over. Where are we then? This is 24. Yeah, I know. That is the 23 is also 7th house. The previous ones were 12th house. Yeah. I don't remember doing this. Arudha saptame ketu papa kheta yutekshitah sahasi sveta keshi cha vruddhalingi bhaven naraha. Okay. Now, Arudha saptame ketu. If Ketu is in the 7th house from Arudha, Ketu in the 7th from Arudha, Papa Kheta Yutekshitaha means Papa Kheta Yutekshitaha. He is, Yuta means conjoined by, Ikshita means aspected by, Papa Kheta means evil planet. So a functional malefic planet is either with this Ketu or aspecting this Ketu. Now the thing is, Papa, of course, we always interpret Papa to be functional malefic, not natural malefic. Those who take Papa Graha here to mean functional, natural malefic, right? What we take as Krura basically. For us, Somya means natural benefic, Krura means natural malefic. Shubha means functional benefic, Papa means functional malefic. But some people take Papa means natural malefic. If somebody interprets in that way, the issue will be Ketu will always be aspected by a natural malefic, Rahu. Rahu is always opposite Ketu and he is always a natural malefic. So Rahu is always aspecting. So Papa Kheta Yutekshitaha is irrelevant basically, he is always aspected by one. So that indirectly proves that whatever we have been doing so far, Papa meaning functional malefic, not natural malefic. This basically drives home that point. Otherwise this line has no meaning. He is always Papa Kheta Yutekshita in that case.
divisional chart.
Even in divisional charts, Rahu and Ketu are either together or opposite each other. In almost all divisional charts, except maybe one chart that we have seen. Okay, so if Ketu is in the 7th house from Arudha Lagna or Arudha Pada, where he is aspected or conjoined by a malefic planet, a functional malefic planet, Sahasi means he is brave, outgoing and brave. Shvetakeshi cha, Shvetakeshi means one who has white hair. Vruddhalingi means one who has a big gentle. Bhaven Narha, he will become. Now let us parse each of these. Now why is he a brave person? Why is he a bold person?
Ketu being a planet of
Ketu being the planet of explosion, you mean? Yeah, Ketu is an explosive planet, very aggressive planet, very unpredictable planet. Okay, so Ketu in general making somebody brave or even reckless makes sense. But why in the 7th house from Arudha Lagna? What about 7th house from Arudha Lagna? Why?
the people, the way they look at
So you are saying that what does 7th house from Arudha Lagna show?
the way people look at this person.
The way people look at this person? Very good. If Arudha Lagna is the image of the person, the perception of the world about a person, 7th house is modification of that. It shows the desire. 7th house is the house of desire. 7th house is the house of interactions. So interacting with others, desire, so that as perceived by the people, that quality, basically the quality of desires and the quality of interactions, not of the real person but the perceived person, the image basically in the minds of the people, that is influenced by Ketu. So those aspects will have a Ketu influence. So world will see this person as having Ketu kind of desires. It may be somebody with spiritual desires. World may see somebody as somebody having spiritual desires. That is a possibility, even though Parashara hasn't given here. Now Sahasi, why world sees the person as a brave person? Well, the Ketu can show reckless behavior or not really calculating and not a systematic approach, just impulsive. Ketu is an impulsive planet. So Ketu can give an impulsive nature, the desires of the person and the way the person conducts himself with other people, the way he interacts with other people is a little aggressive, little explosive, little headless, little reckless, little too fast, little impulsive. So because of it, he may come across as a brave person. But the thing is, here the word Sahasi may have been used earlier also, but here the word Sahasi doesn't really mean a brave person, bold person. What it means is somebody who is seen as a brave person and somebody who just goes and does things impulsively. That is in the minds of people. That is what Sahasi here means. Yes.
Ketu is in Arudha Lagna also, it's the same thing.
If Ketu is in Arudha Lagna, yes, you could.
The perception of the people itself which says that this guy is.
Then the world will perceive the person as a headless person. Whereas here, this is the way he interacts with people. This is the way he desires things, what he desires, what he wants to do, how the outgoing personality basically. We always say that Lagna is the basic personality. 7th house is the outgoing personality, the personality that is seen by the world because that is the interaction with the world. That is how the person interacts with other people. He talks to other people, he interacts with other people. So 7th house is also, that is why several dashas start from the stronger of Lagna and 7th house. Both are actually personalities. Not that Lagna itself is the personality of the native. Lagna and 7th house both will show the personality of the person, but different angles of it.
This is what the person is,
Right.
that is what the person wants to be.
That is what the person desires to be, right? That is what the person desires. That is what the person is pursuing. This is what the person is, and that is what the person is pursuing. Now, the next result is Svetakeshi. He has white hair. Why does he have white hair?
Ketu
Ketu
is old, is the smoke.
is old planet. Okay, smoke is, it's not necessarily white, it may be grey. But why hair from the 7th house? Could it be that hair is not really the point here? I mean, 7th house, if you want to think 7th house shows hair or 1st house shows hair, that may not be the point. Could it be that when you say Vruddhakeshi, you don't really mean somebody who has white hair or grey hair, but somebody who basically looks older than he is? Could it just mean that that expression means somebody who is older than he actually looks like? See, somebody, we earlier said, if Sun influences Lagna or Arudha Lagna, the person will look younger than he is. Sun and Mercury, their influence will make the person younger than he actually is. Similarly, could you say that Ketu's influence on the 7th from Arudha Lagna makes the person look older than he is? If so, what is the justification? How can you say that? Approaching it not from the angle of hair being white, but basically the person looking older than he is. Can you justify it?
You can say Ketu is a planet of more matured.
Okay. Ketu is a planet of maturity and okay.
Old is Saturn represents the old.
Saturn represents old, right?
Not Ketu.
Not Ketu. But Ketu can also show. Ketu doesn't show young. Saturn is the real significator of old things, but Ketu can also show old things.
Because Saturn and both might show, but Saturn will show Mandabuddhi, whereas Ketu will not show Manda. He will show he is old but matured.
Okay. Let's accept that Ketu shows old and mature. Now, why 7th house from Arudha Lagna shows that? Why 7th house from Arudha Lagna? Could you say this? Could you put it like this? See, the Arudha Lagna is how you conduct yourself, how you project in the world, right? So, that actually the 7th from it is also, like I said earlier, 1st and 7th are both like Lagna. The 1st house is who you are, the 7th house is what you pursue being. So, basically both the Arudha Lagna and the 7th from Arudha Lagna show your personality. One shows the personality that you end up projecting. The other is the personality that you are trying to project, the personality that you are pursuing to project. So, bottom line is both 1st house and 7th house from Arudha Lagna show the personality that you are projecting in the world, how you are conducting yourself in the world. If Ketu is there, could it show a lot of restlessness, lot of fire basically? Ketu is an explosive planet. So, it shows a lot of fire in the way you project yourself, you interact with other people, you project yourself, you conduct your business in the world, there is a lot of fire. And if there is, basically, could that show that the person will have a lot of Pitta? Ketu is a Pitta planet, just like Rahu is a Vata planet, Mars is a Pitta planet, Jupiter is a Kapha planet, like that. Ketu is a Pitta planet. So, could it be that he is actually saying that from Arudha Lagna and the 7th from it, you can deduce the nature of the person, the Ayurvedic gunas of the person, in which case Ketu will show Pitta guna. And Pitta people they are very aggressive, very bold, and also they either have no hair or they have white hair. Basically their hair, in terms of hair, it ages faster than, because their brain is so active, there is a lot of fire in the brain, that fire will basically burn the hair, and usually Pitta people will either not have hair or have a lot of white hair, and they will look older than they actually are, whereas Kapha people, they may look younger than they are. So, the lesson is the 7th house from Arudha Lagna and also the 1st house from Arudha Lagna, they can also give you hints on the constitution of the person. Now, Vruddhalingi bhaven naraha. Vruddhalingi means he has a big genital. How can we justify this? What is the meaning of this? What could this imply?
This is another sense the person has got a lot of wrong desires.
Lot of desires. It could mean that it may be, you may take it physically and say that actually the genital is long, but it could also mean that the person has strong desires. Now, if Ketu is in the 7th from Aru Lagna, can the person have strong desires? Well, Ketu is the planet of moksha, but he is also the planet of excess. Ketu is the planet of explosive nature and also excess. So, if Ketu is ill-placed, see, all these conditions were preceded by aspected or conjoined by a functional malefic. So if Ketu is ill-placed in a house, he can actually give negative results related to that house. So, for me? We may need to actually, already reduced compared to when I got it. We need to charge the battery before. Yeah, I'll put it for charge. Sorry, it's okay. USB, where is it here? Okay. So, has strong desires, and Ketu being an aggressive planet, being an explosive planet, and moreover being an unpredictable erratic planet, he can give some erratic nature with respect to desire and pursuit of desire. So, here the word expression Vruddhalingi may actually mean somebody who has a lot of uncontrollable desire and also erratic desires. That is a possible meaning of that expression. And the next verse is Padat saptame sthane guru shukra nishakaraha trayodvayamathayikopi lakshmi vanjayate janah. Padat saptame sthane, from the pada in the 7th house, guru shukra nishakaraha. Guru means Jupiter, shukra means Venus, nishakaraha means the one who causes night, which is basically moon. So if Jupiter, Venus or moon are in the 7th house from pada, trayo dvayam athaikopi, means trayo, all the three, dvayam, or two of them, or atha ekopi, or even one of them. If all the three, even better, the best. If two of them, better. If one of them, still good enough. That is what he is saying. In either case, Lakshmivan Jayate Naraha means he is wealthy, he is rich. So if the 7th house from pada has Jupiter, Venus and moon, he will be a rich person. Why? Well, those are the planets of abundance. They are the natural benefits. And the 7th house from Aru Lagna, the lesson here is the 7th from Aru Lagna controls how you interact with the world, how you deal with the world, right? And if there are Jupiter, Venus or moon there, or several of those there, what does it mean? The way he deals with the world has something magnanimous about it. Those planets will show. So the lesson here is the actual nature of the planet in the 7th house from Aru Lagna, apart from functional nature, the inherent nature of the planet controls what kind of interactions you have. If it is Mars, you may have fighter kind of interactions, you must be fighting, etc. If it is Saturn, the interaction may be that of selfishness, I want, like that. Whereas if it is Jupiter or Venus or moon, the interaction may be that of a big giver, a learned person, a powerful person, somebody who is giving in bounty. So from that point of view, the 7th from Aru Lagna having these planets will show somebody who is wealthy. But it's not just wealthy. See, we said even for Saturn, if you remember, Rahu or Ketu. Oh, actually it hasn't come yet. Okay, that's okay. Because there is, in another place we did cover earlier, not in this chapter. If Rahu or Saturn are in the 7th from Aru Lagna, it is a Raj Yoga. Why? Rahu or, see, 7th from Aru Lagna can also show the kind of people that you interact with. Especially your interaction with the world, it is also the stratum of the society that you interact with. And if there is a powerful Saturn there, it may mean you interact with a lot of servants. You may have a lot of servants, you may have hundreds of people who serve you. So he may be a big king. So from that point of view, even Saturn in the 7th from Aru Lagna can give Raj Yoga. He can make a person very powerful and rich. But the thing is here, the difference is, if Jupiter or Venus is in the 7th from Aru Lagna, the person is interacting with lot of wealthy people. So he is wealthy and he is moving in the wealthy society basically. The next verse is Swatunge saptame khetah shubhe vapya shubha padat Shriman sopi bhaven nunam satkirti sahito dvija. Swatunge saptame khetah. Swatunge means in own exaltation sign. Saptame khetah, in the 7th house planet. Shubho vapya shubha padat. If the planet is in the 7th house, he may be a Shubha Graha or Ashubha Graha, means a functional benefic or functional malefic, doesn't matter, irrespective of the functional nature. If a planet is exalted in the 7th from Aru Lagna, Sriman sopi bhaven nunam, then the person will definitely be Sriman. He will be wealthy, he will be prosperous. Satkirti sahito dvija. Satkirti means good fame, not bad fame, good fame. Satkirti. So he has good fame. He is prosperous and he has good fame. When if a planet is in the 7th house in exaltation sign. Now it could be malefic or benefic, functionally, doesn't matter. Exalted, that's good enough. So he specifically made an exception. Exalted planet is very powerful, irrespective of the basic nature. So now why do we say this? Why does it make sense? Right? So exalted planet, what does it represent? Earlier we said exalted planet is akin to somebody who is at a favorite party, who is very happy, excited, exalted, who is basically very happy with. So it's like somebody at a favorite party. Whereas we said debilitated planet is like somebody at a place that he hates to be. So exalted planet is like somebody who is at a favorite picnic. So 7th house containing an exalted planet means, assuming that planet dominates. See, all these rules are irrelevant if there is some other influence which is dominating. But assuming that the exalted planet in the 7th house is dominating that house, then the interactions of the person with the world, the nature of those interactions is such that it is akin to somebody who is at a favorite party. So he is very cheerful, very happy, very excited, very relaxed in interacting with people. And usually what kind of person does that? Somebody who is successful, who is adored by people, who is famous, who is rich. If he has a grouse that, oh, I am not famous, that person is more famous, or if he has a grouse that I don't have enough money, I need a few $1 million, he would not be so happy, excited and relaxed in dealing with the world. So there is a good chance that the person is very successful, very famous, very rich. So it basically it is a lifting thing. If an exalted planet is associated with the 7th house, it lifts the chart. The next verse is Ye yoga saptame sthane padascha kathita maya chintya sathaiva te yoga dvitiyepi sada dvija. Ye yoga saptame sthane padascha must be padacha, not padascha but padatcha kathita maya chintya tathaiva te yoga dvitiyepi sada dvija. Whichever yogas, whichever yogas saptame sthane padacha, in the 7th house from pada kathita maya, what said by me. So whichever yogas have been explained by me in the 7th house from pada, chintyaha, they may be considered, tathaiva te yogaha, same yogas may also be considered in dvitiyepi, also in the 7th house, sada, always, dvija, O Brahmin. So the same combinations that I mentioned in the 7th house from Aru Lagna may also be considered in the 2nd house from Aru Lagna. So what does it mean? So several things that he mentioned here are relating to the wealth of the person, the status of the person. Seventh house shows who you deal with. That reflects on your status in the society. So also second house is the resources of your status, the wealth that you actually, the resources that your image possesses. So that is also relevant in judging the wealth of the person, the success of the person. So he is saying all these combinations apply second house also. So if there is, for example, like an exalted planet in the second house from Aru Lagna, means the person is successful. He is very famous. May or may not be. Yeah, that may or may not be. He said whatever results have been explained, but whether he implies all the results relating to the seventh house or not is questionable. The thing is, there were results relating to the boldness of the person, the Vruddhalingi, what is it? Yeah, the desires of the person. Those are specifically from the seventh house. Second house may or may not show them. But the thing is, the bottom line is, planet in the second house has Argala and Aru Lagna. Yeah, of course. The planets in the second house will have Argala and Aru Lagna. But if it is Rahu Ketu, it may be reverse counting. But the bottom line is, if you count the correct way for the planet, based on which planet you are taking, if the planet is in the second house from Aru Lagna, then the planet has Argala and Aru Lagna. So it has an influence on the nature of the person. So there may be some influence, but those results, Sahasi, Vruddhakeshi, Shvetakeshi, Vruddhalingi, those are very specific to seventh house. So my take is, they don't apply to the second house. Yes. If it is in AL or in the second from AL, those results apply to some extent, but those results are more particularly they apply more particularly if the planet is in the seventh house from Aru Lagna directly. Those are specific to that combination. So whatever Parasara said here, the yogas I have mentioned, they also apply to second house. He is specific to the previous two verses where he was talking about the wealth of the person. The next verse is Uchchastho rauhineyo va jivo va shukrayeva va eko bali dhanagatah shriyam disati dehinah Uchchastho rauhineyo va jivo va shukrayeva va eko bali dhanagatah shriyam disati dehinah. Okay. Uchchastho rauhineyo. In exaltation, Uchchastha means placed in exaltation sign. Rauhineya, actually not really exaltation sign, placed in exaltation. We normally say exaltation sign, but literally he is not saying Uchcha Rasistha, means exaltation sign. Uchchastha means placed in exaltation. So whichever portion of the sign is considered to be exaltation, placed in that portion. Rauhineya means son of Rohini, the one born from Rohini, that is Mercury. Mercury is born to Rohini and moon. Jivaha means Jupiter, Shukraha Evava means Venus. So if Jupiter, Mercury or Venus is exalted, Eko Bali, one strong planet is enough. One strong planet, Dhanagataha, placed in the second house, of course from the Pada. Sriyam Disati Dehinaha, he will show richness of the person, he will show wealth of the person. So just one planet is sufficient. Jupiter, Mercury, Venus. If that planet is exalted in the second house from Aruda, it is good enough. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, even if they are not exalted, one of them in the second house from Aru Lagna is a blessing for the wealth of the person. The person is likely to be rich. But if the planet is also exalted, even better. The person will definitely be rich. Ye yogascha pade lagne yatha vadgadidamaya te yoga karakam shepi vigneya bandhavarjitah. Yeah. Because, right, he mentioned moon there, that's interesting. Now he is mentioning Mercury. So the bottom line is he is basically Jupiter, Venus have been mentioned both places, but moon in one place, Mercury in one place. So he is saying that moon and Mercury are candidates. What he, in my judgment, what he is saying is natural benefits. So moon, if he is a natural malefic, in the previous verse, in the seventh house, basically 1 or 2 or 3 of Jupiter, Venus, Moon being in the 7th house, that doesn't apply. Moon is a Moon is a natural malefic in the chart, because let's say he is Krishna Jyothishya, Moon, then this will not apply to him. Similarly, Mercury, if he is associated with malefic planet, he becomes malefic. It doesn't apply. This particular verse that we are reading now doesn't apply. So he is basically including Moon and Mercury sometimes, but not including sometimes. So he is indicating that Moon and Mercury may or may not belong in these combinations, but Jupiter and Venus are constant. So he is talking about natural benefits. Okay, so the next verse is Ye yogascha pade lagne yatha vadgadita maya te yoga karakamshepi vigneya bandhavajjitah. So whatever yogas I have mentioned in the with respect to the lagna as well as pada by me earlier, they may also be te yoga karakamshepi vigneya bandhavajjitah. So those yogas should be taken from Karakamsha also. So suddenly he is jumping from Arudha Pada to Karakamsha. He is saying all the yogas mentioned by me from Pada and Lagna will also influence the Karakamsha. So bottom line is, if there is a benefic planet exalted in the 2nd house from Karakamsha, the person will be rich. He is not specifying. So the relevant divisional chart whichever shows the wealth of the person. Pardon me? It is also possible. But the bottom line is, obviously Pada and Karakamsha don't show the same thing. Pada shows the image of the person, right? And what does Karakamsha show? What does Karakamsha show? What does Karaka show? Forget Amsha. Karaka. What does Karaka show? Atmakaraka. It's basically your I-ness, your ego, like I wrote in the Yahoo groups in the last couple of months, that Charakarakas basically, these are actually aspects of yourself. It's not that Charakarakas show different persons. They may be those two different people, but they are all in your consciousness. So basically, Charakarkas are at the level of consciousness. And Atmakaraka, Parashara said, Atmakaraka he is king, he said. If other Karakas are like minister, etc., and the people living in the country, then king of the country is akin to Atmakaraka. So basically, if you look at your personality as a kingdom, if you take a person's personality as kingdom, who is the king of their kingdom? Who controls their kingdom? Who is the basic? Who calls the shots at the end? Your ego, basically. Ego meaning I don't mean ego in the sense of modern English language like pride. I mean ego in the Vedic Vedanta sense. Basically, your sense of self. This is I. Your definition of this is I. You may think of I as this body or this person. This person who needs to do this. This person who needs to take care of mother and father well. This person, this being who needs to spread Jyotish, spread the knowledge of Jyotish and get some fame for the parampara from Puri. This person who is born to, let's say, take the knowledge of Vedanta to the West, or this being who is born to just teach the knowledge of self to others. Like that, basically, every person, there is a sense of this is I. If there isn't one, you are not born. The very fact that somebody is born in a body means body is not the I. Body is also a part of the sense of I, but it's not the entire thing. Everybody has a notion of this is I, this is who I am. Somebody's sense of I may include I'm the king. Everybody should listen to me. Basically, that may be somebody's Atmakaraka. Somebody's Atmakaraka may dictate him to be a leader of others. So like that, the sense of I, this is I, the definition that is shown by Atmakaraka. And similarly, Amatyakaraka. In my opinion, what Amatyakaraka shows is the name. Amatya means minister, right? We say it shows counselors, ministers, etc. But the thing is, the bottom line is Amatyakaraka means Amatya means minister. So Parashara compared Atmakaraka with the king. So if the sense of I, this is I, is like the king in your, if your consciousness, if your existence is a, your very being is a kingdom, your I-ness, your ego, this is I, that is driving your entire existence, is the king. And the sense of this is what I need to do, the sense of purpose in life, this is my mission, this is my purpose. That sense of purpose is, that is the minister, that is what is guiding your I-ness. Your ego is being guided by some sense of purpose in life. So sense of purpose, I will say, is the minister. This is why lot of astrologers have taught in the past that Amatkarka shows career. Right? Amatya literally means minister. But they have said that Amatkarka shows your career. Because the sense of purpose you have in life, this is what I need to do. I need to bring out the correct knowledge of Jyotish, or I need to bring out the music of Gandharvas, or something like that. I need to bring out the real knowledge of man. So something, some purpose that you have. I have to destroy adharma in the world and establish dharma. So whatever your sense of purpose in life is, that basically, that cannot really, that sense of purpose is only a minister. It's not the king. The king is your I. So it makes sense why Amachgarga shows career, etc. And also Parasara shows, says that the 12th from Atmagarga and the 6th from Amachgarga are important. He basically shows how you find various deities, who you can worship based on those. And why? Because in the case of Atmagarga, in the case of ego, I-ness, the purpose, the final purpose with respect to that is to overcome it, to not have any I-ness, to not have a sense of this is I, let it go basically, I don't exist. Then you get nirvana, then you get moksha. So the 12th house from Atmagarga is very important. Now with respect to Amatyakarka, because it shows your sense of purpose, your sense of mission in life, what is important with respect to that? Overcoming the obstacles, because if you have a sense of purpose, obviously there will be some obstacles to overcoming it. You want to spread Vedanta, okay, fine, but the obstacle is you have to go somewhere, you have to go to, you are a nobody basically. You have to establish yourself as somebody and then teach, so that people take you seriously. Or suppose your goal is to establish the correct knowledge of Jyotish, then you have to basically go on the internet, you have to get some sishyas, you have to write some books, you have to create a parampara, you have to create an organization. So all these are, you have lot of obstacles to overcome. So 6th house is the house of obstacles to overcome. So depending on what your sense of purpose is, the 6th house from it shows overcoming those obstacles and fulfilling your sense of purpose. So to fulfill your sense of purpose in life, the 6th house is very important, because God, whoever you are, whether you are Vivekananda or Narsimha or Sanjay Rath or Manish Pandit or Ramakrishna Paramhansa or Ramana Maharshi, whoever you are, whether you are a rickshaw puller or whether you are a great saint, you are born with a sense of purpose in life, and God will put some obstacles for that. He will not make it easy, because if it is so easy to fulfill your purpose, so easy, you get moksha very quickly, because your purpose is served. Once your purpose is served, it is very easy to let your ego go. And as soon as you have a sense of purpose burning, your ego will not die basically, your ego will still, it will continue to flourish. So the bottom line is, apart from the 12th from Atmagarga, people always suggest the 12th from Atmagarga and say you will get moksha, go and pray to this deity. But the bottom line is, if you haven't fulfilled your mission, you will not get moksha. The thing is, even if you worship the 12th from your Atmagarga, your ego will not go away, because the ministry is telling the king, we have a lot of things to do. The king will not basically retire. The king will say, okay, let's do it. So first you have to control the minister, let the minister be happy. So from that point of view, I can understand why Parasara put 12th from Atmagarga and 6th from Amatgarga in one place. He basically showed how you see moksha, etc., which deity will give moksha. So the bottom line is, the 6th from Amatgarga is even more fundamental than 12th from Atmagarga. It shows how you fulfill your mission. So if you worship the deity shown by that planet, perhaps in the Dashamsha, because that is the chart of your karma, then you will fulfill your mission in life, and then you are ready for overcoming ego. So anyway, so what was I saying? So Atmagarga is your sense of I. So, and what is Arudhapada? It is how you project yourself to the world. So both are actually quite important. So if the 2nd from Atmagarga has very powerful planets, let's say Jupiter in exaltation or Venus in exaltation, that shows the resources of the sense of I there are strong resources. So there is a good chance that the person will be wealthy, but may not be in a material sense, either physically, materially wealthy, or the person is well endowed with maybe lot of knowledge, lot of great qualities. Maybe in D1, maybe in other divisions. You have to explore. Parasara never said this is with respect to D1. But the thing is, this is the bottom line is Pada and Atmakaraka. They show, by the way, with respect to Karakamsa, he specifically said Amsa. So he is saying in the divisional chart. Though he is not saying which divisional chart. So, well, the D9 is one Amsa. Karakamsa doesn't necessarily mean D9. We were, but I'm not, I'm actually now I'm breaking off. In the last few months, I'm breaking off from that, and I'm saying, for example, in Sohamsa, I wrote a long article before I was told to leave on the 12th from Atmakaraka. If you take the 12th from Atmakaraka, and if you take the planets influencing the 12th from Atmakaraka and the standard rules, and if you see which Devata is the Ishta Devata, the Devata that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda, so many people actually worshipped and actually got moksha, is not seen from the Navamsa, the 12th from Karakamsa in the Navamsa. So I showed that if you take Vimshamsa and if you just take simple rules as taught by Parasara, you actually have much better correlation with the 12th from Atmakaraka and the actual deity that they worshipped and got moksha in D20. So I suggest, if you are taking the 12th from Atmakaraka, I suggest taking D20, not the Navamsa. Yes, suggesting Ishtadevata. I suggest D20 for Ishtadevata. And similarly for Parana Devata or the Devata who will help you fulfill your purpose, serve your purpose, I suggest D10. The 6th from Amatyakaraka in D10. That will give you a better idea. Right. Right. But how to see what is the meaning of Atmakaraka in D60, we are not clear. So let's leave it for another day. D60 is a very powerful chart. Parasara said you see everything in that chart. Accuracy of Lagna is questionable, but accuracy of Atmakaraka is it should be fine in most cases. Right? Lagna is questionable, but if you are just looking at the chart from Atmakaraka and see which houses are, who's in which house, you may be able to do a good job. Even with a birth data that is 10 minutes plus minus. So D60 is another important chart, but exactly what to see from D60, let's leave it for another day. It's definitely an area for exploration. I am convinced that D60 has much more than just past life. As a matter of fact, I am not even sure if it shows past life, the way we were told, because as I mentioned I just mentioned in the passing in one of my mails where I talked about one principle that I found based on Shashtram Seva, which seems to work consistently based on the transits. So in the context of that principle, I just mentioned in the passing that Sri K.N. Rao has done some research on past life. He basically went and collected charts of people who recollected their past life. They suddenly told people around them, I was so and so person in the past life, this was my name, I was living in this town, and they gave several tangible signs, tangible pointers about their house, their parents, the background. And then some people actually went there and found out their parents were first, their parents thought they are all just fooling around. This is just some hallucination. But later, either their parents or their friends or some researchers, when they took initiative and went and found out, they found that several of those details were actually correct. So these are cases where there is a good circumstantial evidence that they indeed recollected their past life. This is not a hoax. So he collected several charts like that, and a few of those charts, he told me that he has like 16 charts, but unfortunately he misplaced all the data now. He doesn't have it when I asked him for the data. But 4 of the charts he actually had in a book. He published a book called, I think, Rebirth, Law of Karma, something like that, something related to rebirth. There is a book by him. If you search, you can find on the Google. So in that book, he gave 4 charts. He gave the birth data from the previous life, the death data from the previous life, the moment when they, actually not the moment, but the approximate couple of hours when they died. So he gave the time of the data of death and then the data of next birth, when they are born again. So the 3 charts for each person he gave. So if you actually look at the D60 of the new chart, and even if you assume that there is a little bit of error in the Lagna, and change the Lagna by a few signs and take the Arul Lagna, and compare the chart you get with the Rashi chart of the previous life, there are no correlations basically. So whether the chart that you get in this life, if you take the Arul Lagna as Lagna, whether you can actually say things about the past life or not is actually questionable. So that is the principle we are given in Parampara, but whether that is a corruption of something else or what exactly it is, we don't know. But bottom line is, it is always easy to speculate. I can take your Arul Lagna, your D60, look at Arul Lagna and say, oh, Jupiter and Ketu in 9th house, you are a great saint. Yeah, it will make you happy. Or I may say, oh, you are a great engineer. But the thing is, there is no way to validate it. Sometimes you can speculate, you know, you are a great engineer in the last life, that's why you are an engineer now. But the thing is, it's not necessary that you be an engineer in the last life to be an engineer in this life. In other words, what I am saying is, just logically speaking, we have no way to deduce the past life to verify whether our astrological readings are accurate or not. So it's just speculative knowledge. And the only things where I actually found some good correlations were the third from Arul Lagna in the Shashtamsa showing some phobias of the people. That is the only thing where there were some correlations that were found without knowing basically. Some readings were given to people and they were confirmed. So maybe there is something there. But the thing is, not necessarily taking Arul Lagna as Lagna and then you get the previous life Rashi chart. That understanding of ours from the past may be inaccurate. So exactly what this is, it may show so many things. We don't really have any idea. But the thing is, based on the, if you see my mail on the specific principle that I found based on the transit of the Dasa Lord, it suggests that there is some other deep purpose for Shashtamsa. There may be more to Shashtamsa. So anyway, so Shashtamsa, of course, Shashtamsa may be relevant for this Arudhavada, Karakamsa, etc. But we don't know for sure. We have to. Shashtamsa is a research area at this point of time. It's not really something where we have lot of known knowledge that is known to work. Now, when it comes to results like wealth, etc., what should be the chart that we should see? Maybe D2, maybe D4. D4 is the chart of Bhagya. We've been seeing residence in it, right? Parashar never specifically said D4 shows residence. Of course, having a good residence is a matter of fortune, especially in these days, especially if you are living in a big city. Having a good city is a matter of great fortune. The word Parashara used for Chaturthamsa is, the word used was Bhagya, which means fortune. The almost perfect, approximate translation is fortune. It is not really, it doesn't really mean house alone. So now, how wealthy a person is, how much money he has in the bank, is it just does it have to do with how fortunate the person is? Is there a link between fortune and the money you have? Why not? If you have a lot of money, isn't it, won't it make you more fortunate compared to somebody who is begging and living? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, but you are again saying you have money now, you will have money tomorrow. You are saying money today and money tomorrow is in from D4. Is that what you are saying? See, forget the dynamic part, today and tomorrow. Bottom line is money considered fortune or not? Is only house considered fortune? Money is considered fortune. So the thing is, can you see the wealth of a person from D4? Is D2 the only chart for money? It's not clear whether D2 is the only chart. Another, actually, I haven't really done much research on this, right? This is just I just want to think loud. I just want to share my thought, share a thought that came to me some time back, but I never pursued it. I'll just share the thought with you and those who are listening to the audio. The word Parashara used for Hora was Horayam Sampadadikam. Sampada means wealth. One of the meanings is wealth. It is considered your belongings, your assets. your possessions. In that context, it is used in modern Sanskrit and modern Indian languages that came from Sanskrit. That is definitely one of the meanings. But Sampad also has another meaning. It means falling. Sampada means how you fall, basically. So the thing is the fall of the person. So there is a possibility, actually, just based on Sanskrit interpretation, there is a possibility to interpret that he is saying Hora shows the death of the person, the fall of the person. So Hora could also show death of the person, the Hora chart. And also the two Horas are owned by Pitrus and Devas. And if you die, basically, you either go to various Devalokas or various Pitrulokas. These are the two options you have. So the ownerships are also those of Pitrus and Devas, sun and moon. So there is a chance that Hora chart is actually the chart of death. Parasara has, so all these markas, etc., that Parasara defined, maybe they apply in Hora chart. But which Hora chart? How do you cast it? There may be some research to be done. But the bottom line is, Hora chart may or may not be the right chart for wealth. We don't know for sure. Now, wealth along with the residence of a person is considered to be a fortune. So maybe D4 is not at all a bad chart to see wealth. Now what I wanted to do is go back to charts of rich people like Bill Gates, etc., and see if D4 actually makes any sense to. Who said it is a Bhagya chart? Who said it's a Bhagya chart? Because 9th house is the house of fortune, we are basically conditioned to think. We basically, when we see DN, we think in terms of nth house. That is how we think. Parasara never said D9 shows fortune. Specifically, he said Bhagya is shown in D4. And D9 shows, he said, wives. And also in another context, I think the word dharma was used. So D9 shows the dharma. D9 shows the dharma, D9 shows the wives. But does it show fortune? There is no classical sanction. Okay. So consider D4. Consider D4 when you see wealth suddenly getting a lottery, if you have any charts like that, or suddenly becoming successful like Bill Gates, etc. See if you find any correlations in the D4. Pardon me? Yeah, exactly. Yes, second house is death. Yeah. But Parasara never said D7 shows death. But D2 he used a word that can be interpreted as death, as the fall of the person. Or more than death actually, Sampada means how the person falls. So when he dies, what is going on? So that is the context in which. It can mean that also. It can mean, but the thing is, yes, it can mean that also. But like I said, the fact that Pitrus and Devas have been mentioned as the rulers, just as Indra, Agni, etc. are mentioned for Dashamsa, showing the directions in life. So here Pitrus and Devas are mentioned, and those, so it may be showing what the Gati after basically. So think about it. So exactly what Hora chart shows, we are not 100% sure. Exactly what D4 chart shows, we are not 100% sure, and we may have been making some mistakes in the past. So consider D4 for wealth and see if it makes any sense. So anyway, why I said that is, I said it in the context of this particular verse. He said from Karakamsa Pada, the second house, basically 7th house, etc., showing wealth. Try that in the Rasi chart as well as in the Chaturthamsa. And the Karakamsa, to see the fortune, the wealth, etc. of the person, consider D4. Try D4 and Karakamsa in the Chaturthamsa and see if that makes any sense. Okay? Any other questions, comments? I'll just start. Okay. You see, the bottom line is with stuff like the 12th from Atmakarka being Ishtayavata, etc. The thing is, we may have given wrong recommendations to some people, but the bottom line is, it doesn't hurt. If you If you are supposed to get moksha through Hanuman, maybe you will not. You are not really meant for moksha this life. Huh? Not really. Nothing is wasted. If he is worshipping Durga instead of Hanuman, his time is not wasted. He is just doing. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this much: if somebody is really ready for moksha in this life, he doesn't really need an astrologer to tell him. Nobody told Ramakrishna worship Kali. His brother basically took him to the temple and Rani Rasmani installed a Kali idol there. His brother said, "You are sitting idle, come here, help me." And then he got attracted to Kali. It just happened. Vivekananda, he never really believed in any idols. He thought it was stupid that people were doing idol worship because he was exposed to Brahmo and all those guys. Was it Brahmos? Yeah, Brahmos, Brahma Samaj. So he was exposed to the Brahmos and he took a vow actually, a formal vow that he will never worship idols. And even actually his close friend Swami Brahmananda Rakhal, who Ramakrishna Paramahansa said is my spiritual son. Before he came to Vivekananda, before Brahmananda came to Ramakrishna, he was shown by the mother. He had a vision. Mother basically gave him a small boy in a lotus, and she said, "This is your precious son. He is coming to you soon." And then she showed him as a teenager basically. He showed the face. And then she also showed him dancing on a lotus with Krishna, and she told him he is one of Krishna's associates in Dwapara Yuga. He is one of the Gopalas, close associates of Krishna, who is born again. He is going to come to you. He is your son. You basically take care of him. So Ramakrishna and Sadamata considered Brahmananda to be their son, and he said he is very much like me. So Brahmananda is actually, Vivekananda is more well known, but Brahmananda was the president of Ramakrishna mission for a long time. He is the one who actually built the organization, and he was very similar to Ramakrishna in his moods, spiritual moods, in his realization, etc. Vivekananda is more learned, more gnani, whereas he was more into bhava, he was more like Ramakrishna, let me put it that way. And this person, Vivekananda, actually fought with him and did not even talk to him for many days, actually a few months, until Ramakrishna scolded him and said, "This is not right." Because the reason was, because Brahmananda goes and worships idols. He was a Krishna worshipper. He would go to temples, he would bow before the idols, he would actually bow all the way, basically he will do Sashtanga Pranam. And Vivekananda considered it childish. He said, after learning Vedanta, how can you do something so stupid? So he was so stubborn, so rigid. He didn't have the right understanding, even though he read Vedanta. Even though later he was such a realized person, he was so stupid at that time. And but he became a Kali worshipper later. He used to read Chandi, and also he was accompanied by Kali for the rest of his life. After Ramakrishna died, suddenly one day Kali came to him, and he said that little girl stayed with him for the entire life, and she was talking to him, she was guiding him, she was telling him what to do. So that is Ishtadevata. If you are actually accompanied, if you have Savidya with a deity actually comes to you in form and spends and guides you actively. What else do you need? That is Ishtadevata. And if you look at Vimsamsa, you will see that Vivekananda's Ishtadevata is Kali, not somebody else, like people may speculate. So now his Ishtadevata, no astrologer told him when he was 20 or 30 or at some age, okay, Kali is your Ishtadevata, do so and so specific mantra of 21 letters of Kali or something like that. Nobody told him. He just even didn't believe in God. Suddenly one day it just happened. He met Ramakrishna, he was slowly drawn to him, and suddenly he like Kali, that's it. Kali came. So like that, somebody is advanced and somebody is meant to achieve closeness to a deity or even moksha, the deity will come to the person. So you don't put pressure on yourself. If you think that you being smart astrologers, learned astrologers, have a very important duty that you have to guide the people right way, otherwise they are doomed, it is just your ego. So the bottom line is, there are some rules. Based on the rules, we will give advice, and the rules will be refined compared to what we knew 5 years back. I believe is more sophisticated, more accurate. There may still be errors. We may continue to refine. But the thing is, hopefully it will not be a matter of destroying everything and putting something new. It will be a matter of refining, hopefully. Anyway, so Ishtadevata, don't worry too much if you misguided somebody in the past. It's not really a big deal.
But did you also, we did a lot
Yes, 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 yes,
convinced that you are
yes. How convinced we are? The thing is, we did have several successful examples of the Kasinath Hora. So maybe that does show Sampada. Maybe there is another Hora variation which will actually show death. So that is a possibility. I'm not denying it. But I'm saying D4, if you combine D2 with D4, maybe you would have had more clarity. Maybe D4, because this is a chart of basic fortune of the person. Maybe that is really important for wealth. See, we are always looking at Rashi and Hora for wealth. Rashi, why? Because it's a physical existence. If it is wealthy, there has to be something at the physical level. The physical body of the person should be endowed with a lot of luxuries, etc. Right? So, from all those point of view, Rashi is also important for physical wealth, not just for Rashi. In that case, D4 is also important, probably more important than Rashi. Anyway, so in any case, as far as Atmakarka is concerned, the Ishtadevata is concerned, we gave predictions to people. Actually, not predictions, but recommendations. But there was no validation of any kind. Nobody came back to you and said, oh yeah, I did Durga Mantra for 1 year and then Durga came in front of me, or now I became realized. Nobody really came and I'm enlightened now. Nobody came and told you. So the thing is, there's no proof that your advice was a perfect advice.
nobody came saying I wasted my time and you should have used
Because that is because no matter which deity you worship, time is never wasted.
they would have led it to somebody else.
Yeah, you would have, any deity you worship with a pure mind, with a not so selfish mind, it will take you somewhere. Okay, so let's spend another half hour. Let us see some chart if you guys want to see an example.
I have a chart where we analyze it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think especially did the analysis using the Kuta system.
Okay.
And I wanted to confirm that Kuta system versus what you suggest.
Mm-hmm.
Here is that I open a few charts here.
Okay. Let me see. So which ones?
First one is
Apurva. Apurva. That's the last class example.
No, just on the bottom of it.
Actually, can you? Yeah. You opened it. Oh, I see. There are 2 charts open.
3 charts.
3. Oh, I see. Manisha Sharma,
Yeah, that's the
B Sharma, boy 1.
we were trying to.
The third one is Apurva. Third one may Bhavani. No. Bhavani, Apurva are open here. And I recall these from the last few classes.
No, these ones I'm talking about.
Yeah. There are 2, not 3.
There's 3.
Which 3?
1, 2, 3.
No, this one is Apurva.
Apurva.
Yeah. Is it the right chart?
No, it's Apurva is last chart.
Yeah.
This is not the. Okay.
So one of the charts is missing. Can
yeah,
you
I
open
can
that?
give you the data. What? See, the second one, which one is this?
Or maybe you saved it, but that can you see the history in this? Just in case you saved in
No.
and you changed. No, you didn't.
See, I saved as this is
Okay.
boy 1.
Okay.
And the
So you want boy 2.
Yeah.
Okay, can you?
Yeah. This is Apurva, is that right? This
Yeah.
is this data.
Mm-hmm.
And save it as boy 2. This is the December 26th.
26. Yeah. What is the year?
1975.
1975.
1935.
Yeah.
It's
Male.
Jagadhari, male.
Yeah. Place.
Jagadhari,
Jagadhri.
Haryana.
Jagadhri.
It is there, right?
Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah. How many Jagadhris? Probably only one.
That's it.
Good. Okay. So we have 3 charts.
Yeah, the first one
Is it recording? Yeah, it's still recording.
the first one is the girl starting back. Which one is suitable?
Which one is better? So there is a chart of a girl and 2 prospective bridegrooms, and we want to see, is the marriage done or not yet? Okay, so they are still pursuing. So this girl has matches. There are 2 boys here, and Vijay wants to see which one is a better match. So the girl's birth data is 1977 May 26, 5:45 1 p.m. 5 hours 45 minutes 1 second p.m. Somebody rectified it?
No,
That is what they noted. I see.
they just gave me for
Okay. New Delhi, India, 7712 East, 20. The girl. Boys. The first boy's chart is 1977 January 6, 10:10 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Delhi, India, 77 East 12, North 6. The third chart is that of second boy, 1975 December 26, 7:35 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Place is Jagadhri, Jagadhri, 77 East 18, 30 North 10. So there are 2 boys and 1 girl, and we want to see which matches better. Okay, let us see. Now let's first do the Gunankas, the quota system. So based on the Gunankas, I don't have the table. You guys, you have the table there, right? So the star is the girl. Oh, I haven't turned it on. 1 right? Yeah, it will come now. So the girl's nakshatra is Purva Phalguni first padam. Remember that, Purva Phalguni first padam. The boy 1 is Punarvasu fourth padam. Purva Phalguni first padam, Punarvasu fourth padam, and the second boy is Chitra first padam. So Punarvasu first and Chitra first are the boys. Chitra first padam. Chitra first padam. Hello. Namaskar Manish, welcome back. I'm actually in my astrology class, Jyotish class. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Oh, okay. Okay, so India trip went well. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow, Manish. Namaskar. So it is Chitra first padam by 6 arc seconds. It's basically less than an arc minute. So it's on the border of Hasta 4 and Chitra 1. 6 arc seconds. So time wise, using Jagannath Hainamsha, which is what I am using. If you change the time by, let's see, when will moon change? Okay, so time wise it's actually, not Rasi, I meant Nakshatra I should see, right? When did he enter the Nakshatra? So let's go to Mundane tab, select moon and say Nakshatra before, right? So time is 7:35. When did moon change to came to that Nakshatra? So he came at 7:34:49 p.m. The time you gave is 7:35 p.m. So at 7:34:49 p.m. he changes. So the thing is, it's not just an Ainamsha issue. It's not a matter of is it Jagannath Ainamsha or Lahira Ainamsha which is correct. Even if Jagannath Ainamsha is the correct one, all you need is 11 seconds back. You change the time, the Nakshatra changes. How can you be sure that there isn't 11 seconds of error in the time? Of course there can be. It can be wrong by 5 minutes also. So same thing with Lahiri. If you take Lahiri Ainamsha, you will get Hasta 4. But a few seconds later, it will change to, or maybe a couple of minutes later, it will change to Chitra 1. Bottom line is, it is very close to a border. So it could be Hasta, it could be Chitra. So that messes up things further. Let's see the
points is quite different.
Yeah.
The chart which you provided, the Panchangam chart.
Yeah.
And we looked at the chart.
Okay.
So 22 versus 8.
And the unfortunate thing is, in cases like this, how do you validate which nakshatra is the correct nakshatra? Yes, you have to really, there is no other way, because even if you want to see the dasha and see, because if it's hasta or chitra dasha, beginning dasha will be different, but if it's on the border, it will be continuous. Instead of basically moon dasha a few days left, it is Mars dasha a few days into Mars dasha. So either way, you can't really, when you look at an event, it will still be in the same dasha, same antardasha. You understand what I am saying? So you can't really use dashas also to verify which one is more correct. The only thing you can do is, there are several ways in this kind of things. You have to patiently look at some events and look at the transits, right? So when you see the transits, nakshatra based transits, so when the dasha lord was in Vipattara, was she sick, or when he was in Kshamatara, was she sick? And Saratobhata Chakra, if you take moon in Hasta versus Chitra, all the taras will be, the Abhisheka Tara, the Karma Nakshatra, all these nakshatras will be shifted by a nakshatra, right? Because those are all depending on where moon is, which nakshatra he is placed in. So, when various events happened, what were the important transits? Where was the Dasha Lord transiting? Where was Jupiter transiting? Where was Saturn transiting? And which nakshatras did they have Vedha on? Which nakshatras did they have aspect on? You understand what I am saying? So based on these things, if you have like 5 or 6 events from the life, major events, not minor events like I went to school this day, I didn't go to school this day. So events like starting school, or getting a degree, or joining a job, or getting promoted, getting demoted, father getting promotion, things like that basically, leaving the motherland. So if you have any strong events, any important events in life, then you can look at the transits, nakshatra transits, and then you can rectify. That is one way. The other way is the basic personality of the person. Does the person behave more like a Hasta person or a Chitra person? Not necessarily. Even if it's on a border, Hasta is Hasta, Chitra is Chitra. So qualities of Hasta, even if it's on the border of Hasta, the mind will have the qualities of Hasta. If it is in Chitra, it will have the qualities of Chitra. So those are crisp boundaries, the nakshatra. So that is what you need to do. But let's see the first point. So girl we said is in Purva Phalguni, right? So going by these tables. Yeah. Girl plus boy 2. I see. Sanjay Prabhakaran, I see. So actually, I don't know how to read those. Tell me what it says. Yeah. What is the score for girl and boy 1? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And finally conclude saying there is a good compatibility.
Okay, but what are the scores? What is the Gunanka score? I'm just curious about the score. Out of 36, what is the score?
The scores go with Varna points, go with social compatibility with 1 out of 1. And then Lakshya points is 2. And Grahametri is 5. The overall points, we want to get individual. Overall points and
Overall Gunankas.
overall based on moon it says about 38, score of 38 out of 50.
Okay, this is a different scheme, not the one. Okay, it's not 36.
ఈ chart లో చూస్తే
Oh, actually you have. Okay. We use, so I'll just. Oh, this is what I need. So, Vadhu Nakshatra is Purva Phalguni, and so this is the row you see, and the Purva is 4th Padam, so 22. So 22 is an average score. It's not bad. It's an average score out of 36. So based on the standard traditional principles, the first boy is an average match. Now average or little above average. Second one, Hasta or Chitra. Hasta is 22, Chitra is 8. So if it is Chitra, it is a terrible match. If it is Hasta, it is an average match. So first is average match, second is average or terrible. So we have to, now unfortunately, without figuring out whether it is Hasta or Chitra, it is a little difficult. Now let us see, let us just use common sense now, right? Let us, instead of just making such an important pronouncement, just based on the nakshatra, let us look at the chart, see what kind of personality they have, right? Because it's not just the moon that controls the personality of the person. All the planets have a role in the personality of the person. The logic is, Pubba means, Porphalguni means Venus nakshatra. Chitra means Mars nakshatra. Mars and Venus are terrible enemies. So there is no friendship. Like that, basically there are several categories, but it is based on thumb rules. The bottom line is, not everybody born in Porphalguni nakshatra has the same mentality. Within Porphalguni nakshatra, there are thousands or hundreds of thousands of mentalities based on. So let's see the chart itself. The girl, she has moon in Leo, Lagna in Libra. Libra Lagna aspected by Mercury, right? Mercury has a reasonably close aspect on Lagna, right? Are you with me? Who else aspects Lagna? Mars has a close aspect on Lagna. Venus has a 3/4 aspect, but Mars has a very close aspect on Lagna. So Mars is aspecting Lagna, Mercury in a Martian sign is aspecting Lagna, Graha Drishti. And where is Lagna Lord? He is in Pisces with Mars and Ketu. 6th house. In Manakar Kasthana with Mars and Ketu. Are they close? Venus at 27 degrees, Mars at 28 degrees. Very close. Yes. Right? And Ketu is also very close. My goodness. Actually, Mars and Ketu are almost in the same degree minute. Basically, they are like 7 or 8. Venus is so close. This is terrible actually. Okay. So strong influence of Mars is there on the personality. Everybody understands it? Because Lagna, normally you would have said Lagna is Libra. That means diplomatic Lagna. Mercury is aspecting it. Mercury is a very diplomatic planet. He has a close aspect on Lagna. So it will be very well-behaved, diplomatic, very balanced, that kind of personality. Unfortunately, Mercury is a Martian sign. So there is a influence of Mars there. Right? The person who is aspected Lagna is in a Martian sign. Whereas Lagna is still very closely aspected by Mars. Mars at 28 degrees, 24 degrees. Mars has 8 aspects. And moreover, if you take Lagna Lord, who is actually stronger than Lagna, to see the personality of the person. Mars and Ketu are very close. They are very close, within 1 degree. Actually within 1 degree from Venus. So there is a very strong influence of Mars. Mars is a Mara, and he is an enemy of Venus. So this person is, there is some basic tendency of being diplomatic. The person knows how to be diplomatic, and the person is very aggressive, very stubborn, aggressive, very fiery. So the personality is extremely fiery personality. Okay. What else can you say about this?
What kind of person a native can expect?
You can do that, but let us see. The thing is, if you are saying you are destined to get a very sensitive husband and you are destined to fight with him and kill him. If you are saying that, let us see what kind of personality this person has and what kind of personality the other person has, and see if they gel well or not. The thing is, if you look at the 7th house, you can do that. Yeah, Upada Lord, you can see in the Navamsa also, assuming Navamsa Lagna is accurate. But the thing is, I just want to take common sense approach. If two people are sensitive, they may not gel well together. One is aggressive and one is sensitive. One person may basically make a mincemeat of the other. So this is where I am approaching from, right? So now go to boy 1. So this person is a very strong personality, very bold, brave, stubborn, that kind of personality, aggressive, fiery personality. And also a little unpredictable, because Ketu is also very close to Mars. Very erratic, unpredictable kind of personality. Okay? Now, let us go to By the way, Arun Lagna is also in Leo. Let us go to, that is also a fiery sign. So a lot of fire is in the personality.
There is one point I want to consider.
Yeah.
No, the girl which I know, the boys I don't know them, but she's not an aggressive personality, but she's a stubborn personality.
Okay.
And
Fine.
she's
Fine.
a very disciplined person.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Okay. Now, Mars is not really disciplined. Saturn is disciplined, but
Those of emotions.
right. Yeah. Okay, one second. So, okay, that is useful feedback. But the thing is, you know her well. But the thing is, some people who are very stubborn, they may or may not behave aggressively with all people, because she is a Libra Lagna person. She also knows how to behave diplomatically. She may behave in a balanced way with people, but with people very close to her, maybe her siblings or her husband, her mother, she may be very aggressive with them. So you never know. The bottom line is, she is capable of behaving aggressively, and even if not aggressively, basically Mars will at least make the person stubborn. Stubbornness, aggression, all these are Martian qualities.
She's a strong-minded person.
Yeah. So the thing is, she is a very strong personality. So we need to find somebody who can live with that. So all these Kujadosham, etc., people have various definitions. God knows if the definition is satisfied here or not, but this is a Kuja, strong Martian person. Right? This person has a strong Martian personality. So who should you get for this person? If you get, the Shastras say, if somebody has Kujadosham, you should also get a person who has Kujadosham. Mangalik person, get a Mangalik. Don't get a normal person. Because if somebody is very strong person, if you get a meek personality, the meek personality will die basically. The other person will make a mincemeat of this person. So you want to find somebody who can, not that they will have a happy marriage, but the unhappiness is shared. It's not limited to one person. In other words, if somebody shouts at you, you can shout back. If husband yells at you, wife can yell back instead of suffering. So that is the purpose of having Mangalik, match a Mangalik instead of getting a non-Mangalik to Mangalik. Now forget the literary definition, the definitions given in Shastras. Those are just thumb rules. All definitions are basically thumb rules. But this is definitely a Mangalik. This is a very Martian person. Now the first match, Lagna is at 12 degrees Aquarius. Lagna is 12 degrees Aquarius. Venus is 8 degrees Aquarius. So Venus is very closely associated with Lagna. There is a strong Venus influence on Lagna. What else? Lagna Lord Saturn. He is in 12th house, right? He is in 12th house. But what I am saying is, he is influencing Lagna. He is close to the Lagna cusp. Now, who is the Lagna Lord? Venus, because his degrees are lower, he is actually in the 12th house. That is her point. Now, but the thing is, if you evaluate the aspect, he has a strong influence on Lagna. He is 4 degrees away from Lagna. Now, Saturn, the Lagna Lord, where is he? He is in the 6th house. So, Lagna Lord is in the 6th house. That shows somebody who is a little, Lagna Lord in the 6th house shows somebody who is inclined to get, right? It's not somebody who, Now, that's the thing. Lagna Lord is in Moon in Cancer. What kind of personality, intelligence does it show? Does it show a very, Cancer is a very sensitive sign.
It can show some sadistic kind of.
Not sadistic, prone to sadness. Moon very closely with sadness. Yeah. The thing is, Lagna Lord.
But Moon is in 0 Cancer.
Yeah. He's, come on guys. Gautama. Moon is fine. Moon is strong. So there is a strong Moon in Cancer, and Lagna Lord is in Cancer. So what does it show? A little sensitive, a little emotional. Cancer is a sensitive sign. Moon is a sensitive planet. So Cancer containing Moon shows a zone of sensitivity, emotions. So Lagna Lord being placed there can mean the person will be a little sensitive. And also somebody who is philosophical, somebody who is reasonably well balanced in life, and somebody who is very sensitive. So a sensitive thinker, that is how I would describe this person. Now somebody who is a strong personality, if you put a sensitive person together, chances are they will not go together that well, because the person is assertive and stubborn, and this person is very sensitive. So it's not, in my judgment, it's not really a great match. But at the same time, Lagna Lord is in the 6th house, so the person can fight back. He is not basically a meek person. Lagna Lord in 6th house is always a fighter. So he's sensitive, he will be thinking, why did she do like that, but he will be fighting. So it will not be a happy marriage, but it will be okay. It will sustain, basically. It can sustain itself. It's not like one person will die or run away or commit suicide or file for divorce. So the marriage will go on. So this is not bad. We reach the same conclusion that you reach through Gunankas. This is an okay marriage. This is not great, but this is okay. What about the other one? Forget Hasta Chitra. I will leave it to you. If you have any events, email the events to okay. If you can find events, email them to people and then try to rectify whether this Hasta Chitra. For now, we will really assume we don't know the nakshatra, and we'll just Lagna is Cancer. Who is in Lagna? Doesn't matter. Oh, I see. Doesn't matter though. It's just 11 seconds only. For all you know, that may be the right. It doesn't matter. So he is actually in the 11th house. If you take houses Narak. House, if you take the relationship between moons. Yeah. So Labha Ekadasya is a good relationship. Some girl Libra will be 4th house. So Lagnas are fine. The relationship between Lagnas is fine. Yeah. The relationship between Lagnas is fine. But the relationship between Moons is also fine. One Venus is at 8 Aquarius. The other one is at 27 Pisces. It's also fine. Okay. So I'll say so it's okay. This is an average, strictly average match. It's not a great match. If you find a great match for somebody who is really fierce also, who can also fight back, and at the same time commonality with her, so that they can like each other. So that is for her. But then with this person she may be happier because he is a little more accommodative, little more sattvic compared to her. So anyway, so coming to the second person, Lagna is Cancer rising again. Lagna has Saturn in it. Saturn, but actually he is in the 12th house. So Lagna, who is aspecting Lagna? Is Jupiter aspecting it? Not very closely, but he is aspecting. So Jupiter is actually he is aspecting 85% or 90% aspect. So Jupiter is aspecting Lagna. There is an aspect of Jupiter. So Jupiter is aspecting Lagna as well as Lagna Lord Moon. And Lagna being Cancer, you will say, shows a sensitive person. But Lagna Lord Moon is in a, he is in a Bhutatva Rasi, a very well grounded sign. Kanya. It's a very stable sign. Lagna Lord is in a very stable sign and also a very practical, pragmatic sign. Virgo. It's a very pragmatic sign. Very adaptive sign. So in that sign, and moreover Jupiter, a very powerful benefit, 9th Lord, is aspecting Lagna as well as Lagna Lord Moon. So Jupiter shows Dharma. So what this shows is somebody who is sensitivity is actually more than sensitivity to himself. It's actually compassion. So somebody who is compassionate towards the world, who is very dharmic, a very pious person. So just based on these simple combinations, my reading of this chart is this is somebody who is very compassionate, pious, dharmic, a very dharmic person. Such a person is a balanced but stubborn person, and this person together, he should be able to manage well. Apart from Hasta Chitra, all that matching, he should be able to do okay. You understand what I am saying? So this person may be able to handle her better. Yeah. Why does it have Master influence? Rashi Drishti. Rashi Drishti, you mean? Yeah. Actually, Mars has half Lagna Lord Moon, but again, he is a friend. He's a functional benefic. He's a Yokarka. So the thing is, moreover, he is in a very practical. He doesn't really show. In the other case, it was Mars with Ketu, right? So basically, like fire, which is accompanied by a lot of bombs around. Ketu is like bombs, and Mars is like a spark of fire. Here, it's a spark of fire, but it's a pragmatic sign, the sign of bull, hard work, practicality. So it's not that bad. He's Yokarka, he's a friend of Moon. Moreover, Jupiter is aspecting Moon, and he's a friend of both Mars and Moon. So Jupiter can dominate. He's in one side and he's very strong. So Jupiter can dominate. Sixth house, Sun is there. Mercury is actually in the fifth house, you are saying? No, he's in the sixth house. Sun and Moon and Mercury are in the sixth house. So anyway, so let us see the what kind of wife can you expect from this person? Where is the Graha Rudha of the seventh Lord? Seventh Lord Graha Rudha. In the Navamsha. Oops. Seventh Lord Graha Rudha is in Taurus. Taurus contains Rahu and is owned by Venus, right? So the basic personality of Venus and Rahu. And what other influences are there on the personality of the person? What else can you say? Yeah? Let us say, if you just take the seventh house, what kind of marriage the person has. Take the seventh house as Lagna to say something about the spouse. What can you say from the seventh house? It is Meena. Yeah? Okay. Meena has Argala from Venus. If you look at Meena here, there is Argala from Venus. And Mars is having Grahadrishti on it. Who is having Grahadrishti on it? There is a Grahadrishti of Saturn and Mars. So there are some. There is an influence of Pisces. Mars is aspecting it. Here also Mars is aspecting it.
In this case, we consider Rashi or Graha because Graha is only temporary depending upon those phases. So Rashi will be.
We can consider both.
Which one will give preference?
Give preference to Rashi Drishti. You can say Mars and and Moon. Saturn is aspecting it. There is some link, but again you don't see something. But let's look at L7. What is L7? L7 has sign. Martian sign. Mercury is aspecting it. It's owned by Mars. It is in the 10th house. Saturn is in the 10th house in the other chart. Remember, Saturn is in the 10th house, and where is on the 11th house is aspected by Mars and Moon. From L7, the 11th house is aspected by Mars and Moon, and here the 11th house contains Moon, right? And what else? The 12th house is aspected by Rahu, a Jupiter sign aspected by Rahu, right? Jupiter containing Rahu. So like that I will leave it to you. Jupiter has Mercury with Argana from Sun and Jupiter. Here 7th house has Mercury and Sun, and Jupiter has no link, but Mercury and Sun are there. So like this, there are some links between the two charts. If you look at this Navamsa and that Rashi chart, there are some links. Similarly, if you take the girls Navamsa, are there any links likewise? Take the L7. L7 is in Cancer, and this person has Pakalagna in Cancer, right? And Saturn has Grahadrishti on Cancer. If you take this, there are no Rashi Drishtis on Cancer, but Saturn has 3/4 Grahadrishti, and here Saturn is in Cancer, right? What else is happening? So in this chart, from L7, the 3rd and 9th axis has lot of planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Rahu, Ketu, lot of planets, right? Here, if you take the 3rd and 9th axis, from Pakalagna, 3rd and 9th axis doesn't have a lot of planets, but the 3rd lord Mercury basically is with Mars and Sun, aspected by Jupiter, who is with Ketu. So basically, on the 3rd and 9th axis have aspect from all these planets. So there are similarities. So in other words, compared to the second chart, the similarities are not that strong. But if you take this chart, there are some similarities. So there is a chance that there is a karmic link between the two charts. So there is some chance that she will actually end up marrying this person. That's why is there any Lagna is not in the Upada, but the Lagna Lord, compared to the Lagna Lord Pakalagna stronger in this chart. So Pakalagna is in a trine from Upada. So Upada matching is also okay. That is matching fine. So this chart seems okay basically. This seems acceptable. And moreover, apart from being acceptable, there is a chance that this chart will be considered favorably. So good luck to her. Fine. Sure. Any other questions, points? Yes. Fair matches. Second one will deal with it more compassionately and suffer if need be. The first one will be a little sensitive and a little unhappy with her stubbornness, but he will be able to assert himself, not really be steamed over by her. Okay. So with that, I will end the class today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sarve dharmika jana sukhino bhavantu. यावद् भूमंडले सनातन धर्मो वर्धतो विशेषतः भारतखंडे। ओम शांति शांति शांति।